Hello everyone and welcome back to Jacqs. Thanks for joining me for part 4 in my Wedding Memory Planner series. This series is part of a design team project for Country Craft Creations, and I'll have all the links in the description box below. Today we're going to continue on with some page designs, and the one that we're starting with today is going to be a French memo board style. I thought that would be super fun to create with paper and ribbon. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to start with the ceremony divider. Remember, this has a divider label that goes on the front. So we're going to be working on the back side of this divider. You're going to need to cut one pattern piece, and this will measure 8 3/4 by 11 1/2. You're also going to need some ribbon. I actually just bought this off of Amazon because I didn't have enough in my stash or the right size. So what I decided to do was use a gray ribbon because, I don't know, I thought it really looked good with this particular pattern paper, and it just elevated a little bit, I think, for the wedding. So what we're going to do is cut strips to go along our page to create that crisscross French memo board style. So I don't even have this marked out as how much I'm going to need or anything, so I'm just going to be guessing. And you're going to need to cut 2 of everything. So you'll need 2 short ones, 2 long ones, and that's going to go corner to corner, the diagonal length of your page. And make sure to leave at least about 1 inch to 1/2 inch extra on each end. And I can kind of give you my measurements when I'm done, but again, I am just like not even, I'm just guessing. Just guessing. And then we're going to need 2 down here. Okay, so we have all of our pieces cut. And let me just kind of lay this out for you. So we would be taking the next one, going along like that. Oh, I cut these at the wrong length. Yeah, these need to go longer. Okay. Good thing I bought one that has 25 yards. Okay. And then these will go across here. And like that. So that's what we're going to end up with. Something like this. Don't exactly know for sure. So I have 2 pieces that are about maybe 12 1/2. I have, let's see, 2 pieces that are about 17 1/2, and then I have 2 pieces that are 9 1/2. So if that helps, but again, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you leave enough on each end to go over the paper. We're going to wrap our pieces around the paper like that in some fashion, okay? So I'm really liking this. So what we're going to do, I like to start with the middle one. Okay, now you can use Fabri-Tac glue if you would like, or what I'm going to do is use some score tape. And unfortunately, all I have is the red line tape. And so I'm going to, because I prefer score tape, but I don't have this size in my score tape. So I'm going to take just a little bit, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, and put it over my corner there to just get this a little bit prepped. And the other reason why I don't like red line tape is I think it's thicker than score tape, and you have to cut it. You can't tear it. So that's my personal thoughts on red line tape. Okay, I went ahead and did the other two corners off camera because that was taking too much time. So now what I'm doing is just removing, hopefully, the backing. Okay, so I'm going to get one of my long pieces, and it's a staticky adhesive backing. So annoying. Okay. Now this ribbon doesn't seem to have a front or back, which is good. So I'm just going to now place my ribbon diagonally onto the adhesive. Now you could take it on the corner and you can just fold it over, but you will have like the showing on each side of the ribbon. Or you can take it, fold it down, use your finger here, and then fold back on the little piece, and then have adhesive back here to hold that down. I hope that makes sense. See how I twisted it? That worked out well. So let's try that again down here. Just going to cut off a piece of the tape here. Okay, so we're going to fold down to where it's flat along the top. Put your finger there, kind of pinching it. And then you're going to fold back on this side. And when you do, you bring it around to the back. Then you add your ribbon to the adhesive on the back side. So then you get a nice, clean corner. I like that. Super nice. It doesn't even make it too bulky, so that's good. Now we're ready to work on our next ribbon piece, and I've grabbed one of these shorter ones. I've added some adhesive to each of the ends. I would say about a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. And you want to go ahead and place this diagonally parallel with the one we put down in the center. Now from this corner to the first part of the ribbon on the outside is 7 inches. So you want to place this ribbon about halfway, which would be 3.5. So your 3.5 point would be at the top of this ribbon. When you're placing it down, you want to make sure that it just looks even throughout the entire spacing. If you want to, you could take your ruler and go through there and see if it measures out the way that you want it to, or you can just wing it, which is perfectly fine as well. Once you have it where you want it, carefully take and remove the adhesive backing off one end of the ribbon. Oh my gosh, I really needed score tape for this. Oh my gosh, the struggle is real. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to fold over our ribbon and then adhere that to the back. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the adhesive backing. Oh my God. Okay, so now we're going to put this back where we thought it lined up well. You know, and it's going to look fine whatever we do. What I'm doing here is just kind of pushing this down to make sure it's flat across the top here. I think I'm making this harder than it is. Okay, does that look about right? let's just check. Oh my gosh, now I'm getting neurotic about it. Yes, that looks good. Okay, so I'm holding this here. I'm going to lift up my paper and I'm going to fold under. Make sure that's flat and fold back and over. Okay? Geez, I hope you guys got that. Let's see what we have. Awesome. Okay, so we're back. I have my 3 ribbons going across my page. I actually started to film this corner and then I lost the film. So I don't have that to show you, but there are others to show you, so you'll see plenty of that. You probably just missed out on me continuing to rant about my unlike of the red line tape. And it's also sticky on the side, so it sticks to everything. I mean, is that your experience with this red line tape? I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Okay, so we're going to take our longest strip that we have left. We're going to place it over each end that we have left here with our adhesive on the front. And it's hard for me to get the adhesive backing off of these. And I don't like to use like a knife blade or a pokey tool because, quite frankly, I'm a little dangerous with tools that are sharp, so I try to avoid them until I need to use them. Okay, so I'm just taking my ribbon and I'm going to press down at the top and bring it down to the bottom at an angle. Easy peasy, folks, easy peasy. Okay. Now to wrap our corners, I did go ahead and add adhesive to the front of the ribbon. And let's go ahead and do one. Let's take this off. Hopefully that'll work. So we're going to fold down. We're going to pinch this over so we get that nice clean corner. Let's do this together. Fold down, nice corner. We're going to fold this little piece back and then push down on the ribbon. See how that is right there? Okay, let's try this one. Let's go ahead and take the backing off. Oh, gosh. Fold down this little piece here. We're going to kind of pinch and fold over. And then you just smooth out the ribbon. Now, another thing that I did was go ahead and take some more of the ribbon, and the part where we folded over there, I just kind of secured this down for now with some of the adhesive. So when we go to glue this onto the page, I'll remove that and it will help keep everything nice and in its place. I'm just going to do the same here. See, that one is laying really flat, so no problems there. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it just to keep it secure. I didn't do that for these because those lay down really well. Okay, now we're ready to add our second longest pieces across the other ribbons. Now, what's nice about this is it's going to be really easy to put these down for placement wise. Because what we want to do is where we have these ends here, we want to take this ribbon and we want to lay it right across there. And then you would do the same thing with your second ribbon, lay those across each other like that. And it looks very uniform. So that's why I'm saying if you're a little bit off or something, I still think it's going to turn out fine. Now, if you place yours like mine and it doesn't seem right, then just go ahead and adjust it. It's okay if you have a little piece like that. It's all good. It will still work. You know, I could make those in a little bit like that, but quite frankly, I am loving this particular look. So that's how I'm going to do mine. But again, these are guidelines. Do what is eye appealing to you, okay? So I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I'm just gonna have this placed already. Let's see, I'm placing it right at the end of the ribbon. And these are a little bit too long. I probably could have used the smaller ones, but I'm just going to, again, wrap this around the corner. Hold that down and take off my adhesive backing. Oh, I can't ever tell if it's off or not because it sticks to me. Gosh. Okay, now let's take this one, bring this down, just making sure I'm filming. I'm holding that in place, down and around, moving the backing. And if you notice, I'm kind of placing these at an angle, because if you just go straight up and down, you're going to end up with a little loop there. Oh, so you want this to be flat across the paper. So do it at an angle and hold it, you know, taut, but not too taut. Oh, I'm loving this, loving this, loving this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this one off first. Let's do this one now. Right at the bottom of the ribbon. Whoops. Taking this, folding down if you want to see it from the front, like that. And there we go. Okay, that looks good. For this one, I'm going to fold it over and then remove my adhesive. Again, coming down at an angle. Voila. Okay, now what we want to do is take some adhesive, and I would suggest liquid adhesive, and I'm going to go back through and glue down the points where the ribbons cross over. So I'm going to go right underneath here, and I'm just going to add just the slightest little amount, just enough like that to glue that down, because I don't want too much. And make sure that you still maintain that nice line. So you can see how I'm going back through and making sure that my ribbons are where they need to be even after I put the glue down, just to make sure I'm not losing placement. Okay. Hope this all makes sense. It's pretty easy. Now, once you have all the places that were crisscrossed, you could go back to the sides that just have the overlap and put a little adhesive there as well, just to kind of secure those down a little bit more. Okay, once we have our key points glued down, the next thing you want to do is decorate a little bit. And I have these really wonderful little flat back strung pearls. And I cut some off, and I really like how this looks. Just to give you an idea. But the problem I'm having is because these are dimensional, they're going to end up making an imprint on whatever it lays on. So if you have your schedule for the ceremony, if you have your officiant information here, whatever you're going to place in this section, whatever is here, these are going to put an impression on. And to me, I don't like that. And if you're also turning a page and you want to write on the back of that, then you're also going to run into these because they're, you know, dimensional. So what I've decided to do, even though that is what I would prefer to use, is to use these flat back glitter dots. And these are from Cocoa Daisy, as you see here. But I think these go really well too. It brings out some color. And I'm kind of liking that as well. So let's put some down so you can see what I mean. These are nice and flat. You would still be able to write fairly good with these on. And you wouldn't be making impressions on any of your pages. Okay, so what do we think? I'm liking the pop of color, and it really just ties everything in together. So just keep that in mind when you go to select how you're going to add your little decorations here. Now, if you want, you can add decoration pieces to the sides here. I don't know. I wouldn't want to put a whole one there. I think that would look kind of funny because these are half, and I don't know if you can cut these in half. Yeah, not so easy. I do have some smaller ones. Let's see if we like that. And again, if you wanted to do the corners, you could. I only have 2 left, so I don't really have enough to do my corners. But I think that looks okay. Now you just add your adhesive to the back of your paper and go ahead and line that up on our divider. And make sure you burnish that down really well. And you are done with this page. And just to show you how one would use this, because this is the ceremony section, one of the things I thought you might put here are your decoration ideas. And so let's say you're looking through a magazine or you come across something and you tear it out and you want to just put it here on your memo board until you actually decide if that's what you're going to use, or if you know the ones that you're going to use, you want to put here, you just take it and you can just tuck it in like that. You could tuck it in this way, just all kinds of ways, and you see that it will stay there. I think this is going to be a fun, interactive way for your planner to use this by putting your ideas here on the memo board. I love it. Now for the rest of this section, you would print out your printable or put in whatever planner pages that you're using. For the one that I'm using, we have the ceremony information, the day of the wedding checklist. I think that would be great in this section. And an emergency kit that you would use the day of the ceremony as well. But there are other categories that you can put under this section. I'll have them here on the screen for you. Now, I probably wouldn't separate out each one of these areas because they're pretty closely related, but you could use the half divider pages that we created in the guest section to go in here as well. So just because we created one thing in one section doesn't mean you can't repeat it throughout this planner. So just keep that in mind. You may not always see me repeat something, but it certainly can be done. Now we're going to work on the wedding party divider. I'm going to add my divider label to the front. Again, I'll do that off screen since I've shown you how I'm doing those. And we're going to work on the back side of that divider. We are creating a strip that will have little tag inserts, and we're going to make 2 pages of those. One will be for the bridal party, and then the second one will be for the, is it the bachelor party or groomsmen's? I don't know. Whatever that is called, this will be for those individuals. So you're going to need an extra piece of cardstock, and this measures 9.5 inches wide by 11 3/4 inches long. You're going to score on the short side at 1/2 inch. We're going to fold that down and glue it just like we've been doing all of the other main pages. So let's just go ahead and do that now. In addition to these pages, we're going to need 2 more that measure 4 1/4 by 12. Let's take our cardstock. We're going to put the short end across the top. We're going to score at 2 1/8. Let's rotate this to the long side. We're going to score at 3/8 of an inch. 4 1/8. 7 7/8. And 11 5/8. So when we're done, it will look like this. Now we're going to repeat those same score lines on our second piece. Score at 2 1/8 on the short side. Rotate to the long side. Score at 3/8 of an inch. 4 1/8. 7 7/8. And 11 5/8. We're going to fold back and burnish on the ends only. Okay, let's set our base pieces aside a moment, and we're going to cut out our pattern paper. You're going to need 2 pieces of pattern paper that measure 8 3/4 by 11 1/2. And I think I mentioned this before, I am incorporating some pattern paper from a collection that I had in my stash, only because I'm running out of the Here Comes the Bride collection. So I'm going to use 2 of those pattern papers. And then you're also going to need 2 pieces of the Here Comes the Bride that measure 4 by 11. So I'm putting the dark one with that and the light one here. And then I've also created an SVG file for this, and remember that all of my cut files have patterns with them or templates, so those that don't have cutting machines can certainly use the templates to recreate the image by printing it out on cardstock and then using that as your template. Okay, so in that cut file, I've created these adorable little indexed tabs. So I created them with the little tab in the same position, but so that we could lay them on the side. And we're actually going to then be tucking them in like this. And there'll be 6 on a page. 1 for the bride, maid of honor, and then there's room for 3 bridesmaids and a flower girl. I did the same thing for the men. When I created the file, the little tab is in this position. So when you go to create the project, if you're using the cutting machine or by hand, you have to take this image, make 3 like this, and then flip the image and make 3 with the tab on this side. So then you'll have 2 that look like this. These will go tucked underneath here. We'll have 6 again. So we have 1 for the groom, and then the best man, and then the 3 groomsmen, and the ring bearer can be all on this page. Now, the idea with these little index tabs is that you can take an image of the person in their outfit, or you could take pictures of the outfit and put it on here. And on the back side, you can write all of their information, their measurements, what they're wearing, what they're doing, things like that on there. You can then add their name to the little tab here, and then you'll have a placeholder for each one in the party. Now, of course, you would make enough of these pages that would fit the size of the wedding party. So I'm making enough to where you have, 3 extra besides the bride and groom and the maid of honor and best man. There's 3 additional positions, the flower and the ring bearer. But you can definitely make more of these pages, again, depending on the size of your wedding party. Let's bring back in our 2 smaller cardstock pieces, and we're going to go ahead and add our pattern paper to it. Now, the reason I had you make these score lines was so that we could use those as guidelines. Actually, we're going to cover the entire front here. But when we do, I've done it in a way where you would still be able to see where our little score marks are, because that's how we're going to glue down these pieces, and you're going to know exactly where to do the gluing. So that's really what that's for. Also, if you don't want to use one full piece to decorate the front, you could cut out decorative little rectangles and decorate each block that you have on the front. So that is up to you. I mean, that would be a really neat look to take this and actually cut it off into little blocks. But I kind of like the idea of having one full piece here as well. So that's an option for you. So really all we're going to do is just add glue to the back of this and center this down, leaving an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. We're going to do the same thing for the second piece of cardstock that we have there. So I'm going to do this offline and then I'll be back. Okay, that's what those look like. Now we're going to work on the larger pieces. And for these, what I've done is taken my Tim Holtz ruler and I've used the center as 0. And I've kind of mapped out the placement of these because they're going to be an 1/8 of an inch down from the edge. And I did that so that it would have a little bit of a border around it. I just kind of like that idea. Plus, it made the math easier for all of you. So you'll come down a 1/8 of an inch, and actually I could probably tell you that it is 4 3/8 inches in from the edge. So 4 3/8 in from the edge and an 1/8 of an inch down will give you the center. And that's where we want to place this. So on here, we already have our score mark, which is at the center, 2 1/8. So all you have to do is, once you have that one tick mark, is to align those up and your placement is good, right? Easy peasy. So you're going to want to do that to both of these pieces. And let's do that to this one. Now the first thing we're going to do is just glue down the single hinge, and then we'll walk through the rest of the gluing process because this is a little different. Okay, so I'm folding that down a little bit, bringing this up so you can see it. And I'm going to just line up my score mark with the tick mark that I made. It's kind of hard to show you guys, but I explained it, so. I'm going to do the little tape trick here. Since we'll be sliding things in and out, I want to make sure it does it easily. The next thing, I'm going to turn this to the side so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. We're going to add adhesive down the center line and on our score lines. Now, wet glue would be the best option because then your index tags will not stick to the sides. When you use adhesive tape, the tags will stick to it because this doesn't dry, okay? So that's why the wet adhesive is better. But do what you like and what you prefer. So I'm just going to go along the score line. Adding a nice thin bead of adhesive. Then on the end, I want to again add my tape to the inside of the hinge. But I'm going to add adhesive to the outside. So actually this is the sticky side for the tape, okay? Now I didn't go as far as I did on this one, but that's all right. So that's how you should glue this down. So I'm going to flip this over. Now we're going to repeat the same process for this one. Add our glue to the hinge, top only. We're going to line up the center score line that we made with our 1/8 of an inch tick mark here, down from the top, 4 3/8 inch in from the side. Doesn't matter which side, it's the same. And then if you want, again, you can use the ruler to check it out. It's about 2 1/4 inches on each side. Of course, I moved this as I was doing that. Okay, we'll move this to the side. Now we'll add our glue down the center and on our 2 score lines. I'm not exactly straight, as you can see, but as long as you get it fairly close to the score line, we'll be fine. I like to kind of like push it down as I go. So that it doesn't bubble or I'm not pulling too tightly. There. Now what we're going to do is adhere this page to our extra page that we created. Then we'll add this one to the back of our index page, like that, okay? Okay, I have my pages all together. Now we can bring in our index tabs. And I just call them that because it already has the tab attached to it. Now, what I also did for this SVG file and template is to go ahead and create the actual little tab that we can just glue onto our tag. So I just glue one to the front and one to the back. Now this particular cardstock that I used had a beautiful gold foiling on the front and then this lovely lace pattern on the back. So I really couldn't figure out which one I wanted to use. Maybe you guys can leave me a comment and let me know. Should I do it this way. I think there are gray undertones in the Here Comes the Bride collection, and so that's what I was trying to bring out. I really love the lace here. It's just so delicate. But then I kind of like the gold lines as well. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think. It's just very bright. So these just pop right in there. And the way that I know that there is a pocket is because we have our score lines on the front and we can see them. They're very light, so they're not noticeable, but if you look up close, you can see them, and then you'll know exactly where to insert your tag. And that's why we're only creating a very thin line of glue when we do that, so that these will just slip right in without any problems. So that's how the bride one looks. I don't know, I like that, but I think I would like it the other way with just the lace. I don't know. And then here is the groomsman. That's really pretty. I liked how that one turned out. On the back of these, they're just white cardstock. I didn't bother to put anything else on there because you're going to do writing there as well. That's why this one turned out really well with the light lace, because you can still write over that. Now we're going to move on to the back side of the additional page that we created. And this would be a perfect place to add another one of these pocket pieces to go on here if you have a large wedding party. But another way that I thought about using this actual design was to create a large belly band, and then that way it will help separate some of your documents that you're going to be putting into your planner. So for that, you're going to need one piece of pattern paper that is 8 3/4 by 11 1/2. That will be glued to the base. You're going to need one piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 12. Yes, by 12. We're going to score this on the long side at 1/4 inch, because for the belly band, I want it to go all the way to the end of the pattern paper. I don't want it to have, you know, a border around it like we did the other two pages. So 1/4 inch is all that we can do here. I'm just going to flip it around and do 1/4 inch on both ends. So that will go there. We can go ahead and fold this over and burnish. Again, this will be about 2 1/4 inches in from the side to center that. Then you're going to need one piece of pattern paper that measures 4 by 11, and that will go on the top here. Oh, actually, okay, I cut mine wrong. So for you, it would be 4 by 11 1/4. I cut it off based on this page. But that's okay. It's all good. I could put a little decoration there if I wanted. There's always options, right? Okay, so that, and then what I did was I cut out these two ephemera pieces, and I'm going to add this down here with the flower. I just loved having something down here, and this is perfect. I think I'm going to make this a little tuck spot. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's see, I kind of liked it right here. So I'm just guessing there. And then that will just tuck right in there. So in case they want to, you know, remove this image and maybe put their own on the back, or just put their own photo in there, they certainly could do that. And then they have a nice little spot for it. How cute is that? Just the right amount of decoration. Sometimes we don't need a whole bunch. Now, while we're here, let's go ahead and attach this to our pattern paper just so that everybody knows how we're adding the belly band. I don't want there to be any confusion because of the other 2 pages. So I'm really just guessing here, and it's actually better with this underneath it. I didn't measure anything out. It would be about 2 1/4 inches. And let's just go all the way to the edge. Okay. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and glue these 2 pieces on, and I'll be back. Okay, so there is my final piece. Now I'll probably add ribbon or something down here and up here. And then, of course, you could take your printable and you can insert that here, or you could also do it on the side, you know, when we attach everything. And it could just be individual pages. I'm just going to tuck mine under here for right now. And that is the end of the wedding party section. Okay, now we're going to work on the reception divider. Again, I'll add my divider label off screen and we'll work on the back side. For this section, I created something fun and interactive, and it is a wedding cake. Now, this is my little prototype I did with just plain paper, but we're going to have 3 sections, as you can see here. They're going to lift up, and what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is add some dry erase vinyl. And I got this from Cricut. So that will be down here under each of these little flip ups. Now what you can do with this is keep track of where you're placing people, at what table. You could add numbers and then write the names underneath this. You can even do it up here if you want. Now when I add the vinyl, I'm only going to add it to the bottom just to show you and demonstrate it. If the person this goes to wants vinyl at the top, then I can certainly add more up at the top. You may need that, again, depending on the size of your wedding. Now, if you do not want to use the dry erase vinyl, or you just don't have it in stock, double up the cardstock measurement that I'm providing, and then just put cardstock throughout the whole thing. You could also make this just a flat decorative display, and it doesn't have to have any function at all. I also had the idea of creating these as pockets, and then the top would lift off. But that one got a little bit more tricky with how the layers worked with each other, so that's why I landed here. So this idea you can morph into all kinds of different other ideas. So just keep that in mind as we go through and create this project. Okay, so we have our base page here. You're going to need 1 piece of pattern paper that measures 8 3/4 by 11 1/2. That's our standard size. And that will go on the bottom. You're going to need 3 different layers. Well, actually 4. We'll have a cardstock layer. You're going to have a more specialty layer if you like, or it could be another color cardstock. I'm using this shimmer cardstock. And then you're going to have your pattern paper, and then, as I mentioned, vinyl. For the black cardstock, I actually made these slightly larger, probably by 1/16 of an inch, than the other standard measurements, because I'm trying to create like a shadow behind the cake layers. So if we look at this, it would just be pretty flat on our pattern paper. But if you take some black cardstock and put behind it, just ever so slightly, you end up with this kind of popping up off of the pattern, kind of popping up off the pattern paper. So that's what I want, just a little bit of a shadow effect. So these have a slightly different measurement. So this measures 3 13/16. And again, that is 1/16 of an inch beyond 3 3/4. The height of all of these are going to be 3.5. So here's our next one. It is 5 13/16, 3.5. And then we have 7 13/16 by 3.5. For our specialty cardstock, you'll need a piece that measures 3 3/4 by 3.5. 5 3/4 by 3.5, 7 3/4 by 3.5. And then for our pattern paper, you'll need one piece that measures 4 by 3 3/4, 5 3/4 by 4, and 7 3/4 by 4. Now the vinyl is the same width as our pattern paper, but the height will be 3.5. So we have 7 3/4 by 3.5, 5 3/4 by 3.5, and then we'll have one that is 3 3/4 by 3.5. So that's your vinyl. You're going to need 3 pieces of 1/2 inch pattern paper, and these kind of mirror some of the same measurements I've been giving you. And just to make sure, this is 3 3/4 by 1/2 inch, 5 3/4 by 1/2 inch, and 7 3/4 by 1/2 inch. And then from the Here Comes the Bride collection, I did fussy cut out some of this beautiful lace that was in one of the patterns, and I'm going to use that. These also have the same type of measurement. This is 3 3/4, 5 3/4, and of course 7 3/4. And that's the length of all of these. So those are all the components that you're going to need to put this together. Now you may also need magnets or Velcro to close these. But I think I'm going to wait and add everything to the pattern paper first, and then see how it goes to see if we actually need a closure. I think we probably will. And the reason I say that is because while it's laying down, it's pretty flat and it still looks good. And over time, it would get even more creased at the top, so it would lay flatter. But when you go to turn the page, I think that's going to happen, or the top piece will flip out. So that's why I believe you're going to need 3 magnets, or just 3 little Velcro dots will work as well. While we have the pattern paper out, let's go ahead and do some scoring. We're going to take each of our pieces and score them at 1/2 inch on the short side. Now, when I created my pattern pieces, I had to use the back of the ephemera sheet. So I need to cover this up. So that's where my specialty paper comes into play. I'm going to take these and glue them to the back sides of each of these pattern pieces. Now, if you're going to use magnets, this is the time that you would go ahead and add a magnet in between these 2 layers. Okay, so I'm going to add my magnets to the center. I'm just guessing, you guys. I'm just probably about a 1/2 inch in. I think that would be good. What I normally do is stick my magnet super close to the edge, and then I have trouble gluing my 2 layers together. So that's why I'm trying to, for once, think about where I'm placing it. Now, again, to save you time, I'm going to go offline, glue these down together, just like that. Super easy. Okay, so all 3 of my pieces are ready. So just glue your hinge on the outside. Okay, I am using my ruler just so that I can get this centered onto the page. If you're using the Tim Holtz ruler, your marker will be at 4 3/8 on each end. So I'm going to place this down, but I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm going to go up about 1/4 of an inch in case I want to add some ribbon or something down there. And then you're going to place this piece down at the 3 7/8 inch marker here and here. Okay, and that's using the 0 as your center. So I'm just going to eyeball it all by looking at it from here. And I don't know that I have an exact 1/4 of an inch down there, but I like that it's not really large. I'm going to fold over my hinge and place that down. And that is our first piece. Now what I want to do real quick is to just check this. Yeah, I'm a little bit over 1/8 of an inch, not really a 1/4 of an inch. And down here, it's not even. Sorry, I just want the first one to be even. That looks good. Okay, now we're going to take our second largest layer, add our adhesive to the hinge, again, I'm going to use my ruler just so I can get this centered. Nobody wants a crooked cake, unless it's for Alice in Wonderland or something. Okay, so I'm lining this up for this one. Your marker will be 2 7/8 on each side. I'm going to line it up really close to the top. There should be no gap, okay? No gappage. Ooh, that's really tight. Okay. Oh, I just had an idea on decorating in my head. Okay. See where that one won't need a magnet because it's staying? See, I don't know if we need the magnets. But let's see, if we turn the page, yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why we're using them. Okay, for the next one, this was 2 7/8, so this one's probably going to be 1 and something. Yep, 1 7/8. Hot diggity. Oh my gosh, I cannot stay on these hinges. Okay, here we go again. 1 7/8. I'm lining up this end first. With my ruler, top to bottom. And then I'm pushing this under. Making sure that's nice and snug. Now, of course, there's not enough room to make a topper unless you're okay with something hanging out the top of your planner. That's purely up to you. I really did not plan on putting something on top of it. Look how cute. I love it already. Before we forget, I want to go ahead and add the back sides of the magnets. So I'm just going to, oh my gosh, I finally put these on the right way. I never do that. Sweet. Doink, doink, doink. Okay. Sorry. I'm going a little crazy over here. Yeah, so that'll be right in the center. Yep, perfect. I'm not going to put 2 on there. You could do that, but no. I'm not going to waste it. And I always like to add adhesive over it just to keep it in place while I'm doing whatever. Nice beige cake that way, or a nice white harlequin this way. Now we're going to take our black cardstock, we're going to add our vinyl on top of this, and we have to keep in mind that, you know, this is smaller than the black cardstock. Make sure you keep just a sliver of black cardstock showing through on the ends. I did not make these where the black cardstock would be on the top and bottom, just on the edges. So when we place the vinyl down, we're going to put it top to top and bottom to bottom. But the sides will have a sliver of black on each side, okay? Hope that makes sense. Now, again, if you're not going to use the vinyl, I do have the measurements for using just, you know, a cardstock piece or pattern piece of paper to cut the top and the bottom, just so that you have both options. So you know what? Why don't I do this off camera? I mean, it's super easy. Maybe I'll do one with you, or I think it's going to be easy. Hello, I don't know. You guys, look, I folded over my vinyl. Oh my gosh. I hope that comes out. I put it in my basket and kind of forgot about it. Okay, so, ooh, I don't normally use vinyl, so this is going to be fun. Just wanting a sliver. And at this point, I'm not even worried about it being too exact. It's really supposed to be just a shadow piece. Oh, goody. It came out pretty good. Now you could use acetate if you don't have vinyl. Probably a transparency would work as well. Okay, I don't know why that one's still showing, but that's not bad at all. That'll work. I don't even know if you can see because my screen froze. Might have to trim that one a bit. Let's see how that one turned out. Oh, that one too. Okay, we'll have to see. It's so fun to use a different type of material, you know? So I'm lining it up with the top and then checking my edges. That one's very thin. But you know, like I said, it's kind of a shadow piece, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. Now the idea is that this goes underneath here. These pieces should be the same height as the top one. So yeah, I'm going to have to trim that excess off. Let's check this one. And I even wanted to kind of tuck this underneath the one below it. Okay, that one works. Let's check this one. hoping this works. So when we close this, oh yeah, see, you can see that we definitely have to trim. Okay, so I'm going to trim these down a little bit and then I'll come back. Okay, when I say I trimmed them, I only took off a little bit of the vinyl that was hanging over the edge. Now what we can do is, I'm going to start with the top one. I'm going to remove the adhesive backing on that. I'm going to kind of go right underneath where the top of this flips open, if you understand what I mean. Oh, shoot. Just kind of tucking it right underneath there. Am I even lined up here? Like that, okay? Tucking it down in there. Oh, yeah. Now you can see a little bit of the vinyl, but I'm not gonna worry about it. I think it looks cool. Gives it a little shimmer. Now, when you go to put this down, and if you're tucking it underneath there and you see that there's a gap between the vinyl and this back here, it's okay. That's why we made these trim pieces. Let's see how that looks. I'm gonna try and move it over if I can. I'm losing all my glue. Okay, now what we're going to do is come back through and add our trim pieces. Now, if you don't want to add these and everything looks fine, you don't have to. It's kind of an optional piece. Like that one looks okay, but that one seems to have a larger gap than the other one, so I guess that's why I'm adding it. But I like the look of this as well. It kind of ties it all together. Bring some of the cake paper in to the front. Ooh. Oh, maybe we don't want to. It makes it really bubbly. It's a nice little surprise having that there, actually. Okay. Now don't go too close to the fold, right? You want to be able to still fold this over without too much interference. Oh yeah, that one works good. Just a little bit. And on the top, we're going to take our lace pieces and add that. Fabulous. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, now I'm going to do any additional decorating off screen. I just wanted to give you the base on how to put this together. What you do now is just add your adhesive to the back, glue it to the back of your reception divider, and that will be the end of this page. I did think about maybe adding one of the little cakes down at the bottom, maybe some lace or ribbon or something. I'm not quite sure. I'll do that later, but just to give you some ideas. Now for this section, again, you can use any of the components that we have made or any of the components that Michelle has created in her video. You could duplicate and add to this planner. Don't forget that. You have 2 videos that you can pull options from. Okay, so that's it for today. We worked on the ceremony section, the wedding party section, and the reception. So much fun. I hope you all have enjoyed these fun designs. And if you did, please comment down below. I would love to hear what you think. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on future videos related to this and other projects that I'll be bringing you. I'll see you next time.